What would you say to a Christian person that is more or less closed to any other thinking than what he has been conditioned to or studied all his life, studied the Bible as he knows it, his parents know it? What would you say to them in regards to this information?
It would depend. If you're talking to 57 such people, you could probably appeal reasonably to about 6 of them, and the rest would be pretty much a lost cause. Once the mind is committed to any sort of program philosophy, it's very hard to open up a crack and get through there with facts or truth of any kind.
Sure.
Bystanders, if you can find any unbiased bystanders, might marvel at the density, the ignorance of the person you're trying to enlighten, and they might also do you the compliment of saying, what a wise and well-informed fellow this is. Why can't he convince the dummy? But the fact is, he can't. The human mind changes very slowly, except in extremely rare and dramatic situations. If you could change people's attitudes, let's assume for the better, very quickly, the process of psychiatric analysis would take one afternoon. In fact, it may take many years.
Right.
And it's 2 intelligent people talking to each other, but the person that needs help may require many years to get straight.
Sure, because after all, if there is hidden agenda here, politically and economically based, then how many centuries has it taken to take hold in the world as it is today, if that's absolutely true?
One thing to suggest to the true believer, to use that term, capital T, capital B, is to dispose him toward at least being impartial about science. Science really deals with knowledge. Individual scientists make errors, and as we look at the history of science, we see they too incorporated some now recognized as absurd beliefs at different points in the past. But those were the exceptions. By and large, it was a mighty river whose only purpose, whose only function was to find truth, whether the truth about this cup or that light or the sun, whatever it might be. And no scientist ever thought, I know what I'll do. I'll get into science and I'll do a lot of harm. That's not how it works. Right. You're fascinated by looking at a leaf in the sun, and that leads you into the science. So we now, I think, are more inclined to respect science than, we know this, we're more inclined to respect science today than ever in the past. And once you can get somebody to take an unbiased attitude towards science, even as an abstraction, then you can say, good, now let me grab you by the lapels and bring something else to your attention. For centuries, the churches, organized religion, have opposed science bitterly. Not all members of the Methodist Church or the Catholic Church or the Jewish faith or whatever, some of them were in fact scientists. But as a large generality, it is simply true, it is simply the case. And this is well documented, of the opposition. This is well documented in an important book that everyone really should read. Whether you're an atheist or believer, whatever you are, you should know this book. A History of the Warfare Between Science and Theology, that's one of the titles, or between science and religion. Unless you've become familiar with the information in that book, you really don't know what the hell we're talking about here today, to be very blunt.
Right, exactly. And I want to reiterate at this time that this show, hopefully, and I know that all of us have that viewpoint, that we're after the truth.
Yes.
We're after that. We're not after debarring or debasing anything at all, any organization.